Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. My name is Ben Bowler from Unity Earth, and I am delighted and excited to be sitting down with a wonderful luminary doing incredible work on the global stage in so many different ways, and a good friend, Laura Rose. Welcome to the 99 Days of Peace Through Unity, Laura.
Thank you, Ben. It's beautiful to be with you. We've been weaving together for, gosh, what, since we met for the first time in the Middle East, right? Holy land, holy water, what a beautiful, beautiful journey that was together. And it's been magic ever since.
It certainly has been an incredible 5 years. And as many people will know, Laura and her husband Emmanuel have been primary sponsors of Unity Earth and creators of Purpose Earth and World Unity Week and the 99 days. And it's just such an integral, foundational part of everything we do and the community. Let me give a little semi-formal introduction, Laura, for those who may be watching this without a deeper knowledge of your incredible biography. Laura Rose is a visionary leader, cultural bridge builder, and an agent of transformation deeply aligned with the principles of truth, beauty, goodness. She is the co-founder and former CEO of Green Heart International, which has facilitated life-changing exchange experience for over 175,000 youth and adults over 100 countries. Laura is the co-founder as well of Purpose Earth, a grant and mentorship initiative that supports grassroots change makers around the world. Laura is also co-creator of the Holomovement. And Laura champions a unifying call to planetary purpose, bridging science, spirituality, and social impact in service of a thriving future for all. Her leadership is characterized by a deep commitment to heart-centered activism, spiritual ecology, and global transformation. Laura has been recognized with numerous awards, including the Unity Earth Keeper of the Flame in 2021, the Barbara Marx Hubbard Innovation Award in 2015, Visioneers Heroines of Humanity in 2023, and most recently, the George and Annie Leonard Lifetime Service Award in 2025. Laura brings a luminous presence and a lived understanding of the sacred interconnection that unites us all. It's a beautiful glimpse into the incredible life that you are living, Laura Rose, and I'm genuinely and deeply excited to be sitting down and to look a little bit into the beautiful heart that is you, and understand a little bit more about the motivations for all these incredible good work. So let's kick it off, Laura, with something around beauty. I want to start with beauty. Seems like a good place to start with you. How do you see beauty in your own work and as a healing force in times of crisis? How can beauty really be a form of sacred resistance or transformation?
Hmm, what a beautiful question. Um, Beauty is the fundamental essence of everything that moves us deeply and stirs our hearts. And I've had the privilege over many, many years, Ben. We haven't ever really talked about a lot of these things, but over the years, I have been very, very fortunate to have experienced nature and its essence in so many extraordinary capacities. And I think beauty begins the with the magnificence that's offered to each of us when we open our eyes and our hearts to the magic that exists in the mountains. And as a girl, I backpacked constantly. I grew up in the Rockies and just outside of the Rockies, and I grew up hiking and backpacking and being gone for weeks at a time and experiencing what it was really like to live off the land, essentially. I mean, we'd pack in of the food to last for a week and, drink crystal clear waters from rushing streams and just experience what it's like to be away from everything except the essence of of nature. And when we're in it, I think we recognize just our own personal capacity for experiencing everything stripped away down to just the magnificent perfection of nature. And I still feel it all the time. I'm very fortunate to do a lot of snorkeling in the Mediterranean. And over the last couple of weeks, it's been very hot in Spain, and I've been able to dive into the blue seas of the Mediterranean and come across extremely incredible octopus and Monterey eels and all kinds of beautiful, beautiful creatures that I interact with. And the beauty is beyond moving, beyond magnificent. So there is so much beauty that nature has to offer us. And I think when we see it, then it allows us to see the beauty in each other as well, and to really recognize the extraordinary nature of our hearts.
No, it's glorious, Laura. Is the time in nature as a younger person is so foundational, isn't it? It's beautiful to imagine you wandering off in the Rockies for days at a time. You know, kind of powerful, spiritual, ecological, kind of formation, really, for what's gone on to become a part. And I am interested as we go into this discussion today about those deeper motivations, because I see Green Heart International and how how much work is going into creating this amazing global cultural exchange initiative that you and Emmanuel built over many decades. And then I've worked with you at Purpose Earth, and I see the care and the dedication and the generosity and the love that goes into nurturing a team that is then capable of executing the mission, and now with the Hollow Movement as well. So all these things that you've really been stewarding are having a phenomenal impact in so many people's lives. I mean, when I read that number, 175,000, maybe it's closer to 200,000 now, people that have
It
done,
probably is.
yeah, it
Yeah.
probably is. That's a
Yeah.
that's a that's two, three football stadiums full of people. I mean, that's a thriving number of people that have had, experience that go for weeks of cultural exchange or months, right? So this is majorly impactful on people's lives, and in deep honoring of that. And I have the curiosity about what's the driving force, what compels you, Laura. I was going to ask you this later, but I guess it's coming out now. What compels you to live the life that you are living? What is it that is driving you to be of service, to bless and to uplift younger people and people in developing countries through Purpose Earth? The work of the Hollow Movement, whose mission is to unite and uplift, so many of the good things that are happening in the world today. What's the beating heart of your mission?
Mm, mm, beautiful. Um, my childhood was not what a lot of people talk about their childhoods being really rosy and extraordinary in so many different ways. And I am very grateful for what I experienced as a child. And yet it was extremely challenging for me. And we moved. My father was searching for himself, and we moved before I was 10. We moved at least 8 or 9 times. So I was constantly uprooted and moved somewhere else. And I think because of that, um, when I ended up in a situation, I initiated the first year of our junior high school in Denver, Colorado, and the first year of our high school um, being bused and starting out integration, right? Which was a beautiful idea, absolutely wonderful idea, and absolutely necessary, I believe. And it was very poorly executed, extremely poorly executed. So I was in a situation where I was a minority of 10%, which was, and looking back on it, was a wonderful thing for me to have experienced, because I saw just how challenging it is to not be of the majority, to not be the the center of everything, if you will.
Right.
And my life was, quite frankly, in danger every day for 4 years. I ran like the wind to get to the bus at the end of the day, and it was really, really challenging. We were bused to an area that was where ABC in the United States filmed a program called Murder in America, and the year
Denver.
that I
This is Denver, Colorado.
this is Denver, Colorado, 5 points, and it was an extremely violent part of the city
Mm.
at that time. And the busing was started without any thought towards, apart from saying, let's mix the kids. Good
Yeah.
idea, right? But it was also something that was really challenged me in every way. My best friend the year before that was an African American girl named Valerie, and I loved her. And she'd come to my house and we'd hung out together, and I was so excited to see her the first day of school and when I was bussed across town. And when I ran and threw my arms out to her, she looked at me and did an about face
Uh,
and she walked away. And I understood at that moment that we could not be friends because for her, it was too much. It was too much. She had to, you know, be in the situation she was in and
hmm.
cope with her group of friends and
Yeah.
all of those things. And what I saw, Ben,
Wow.
what I saw, and I mean, there was a lot of violence, as I said, a tremendous amount of violence and riots and switchblades and chains, and it was tough. But what I saw was that there were a lot of young girls there, lovely young girls, who were pregnant by the time they were in ninth grade. And by the time I was in 10th grade, there was what they called baby day. And these young girls who could barely read were bringing their children to school.
Right.
And eventually I was transferred to another school. My parents discovered that I was had too many issues and finally
Four,
made the
4 years
decision.
later, though. 4 years.
4 years later,
Wow.
after I got a report card with 30 absences and straight A's, and they made the decision that when they called the school to ask what had happened,
Mm,
they said, "Sir, we have serious problems here. We
mm.
can't worry about your daughter."
Right.
So I'm not telling that story for any reason except this.
Mm,
I believe that we all choose the lives that we live. I believe that when we enter the bardo plane or whatever you want to call it between lives, we make the decision of what we want to live. And I am absolutely convinced that I chose that childhood,
mm,
those experiences, and that what I gleaned from that and what I took away from that was how extraordinarily privileged white privilege is, how much white privilege in the United States gets away with so much, has so little, there's just so many things that we don't understand unless we're exposed to it. And I had the opportunity to see firsthand
mhm,
that I was going to school with kids that didn't have a chance. And it gave me an opportunity. It gave me an opportunity to recognize and to understand that unless opportunities are made for people to be given a chance to 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 rise to the same tide with the same tide as all the other boats, that there isn't you can't talk about pulling somebody up by their own bootstraps if there aren't bootstraps to begin with.
right.
And it motivated me,
Right.
absolutely motivated me
Right.
to to recognize and to understand that what I wanted to do in life was to help people to know each other, to love each other, to experience each other's cultures, and instead of being afraid of the other and what's different, to
Mm,
actually make a conscious decision to bring people together and to live with one another and to celebrate it. And instead of just throwing people together and, hoping for the best, to say, we can live together in a way that enables us to have this opportunity to understand just how extraordinary every one of us is in our own cultural backgrounds and our own experiences. And and that's what we did at Greenheart.
Mm.
We we started bringing young people together from all over, but not only to live together, but to understand that there that one of the things that we could also do was to help people recognize that we become more whole through helping others to achieve their goals rather than just our own.
Oh, Laura, thank you. What a profound story. I'd not heard that in its full kind of breadth before. That's an extraordinary experience for 4 years to, as a you know a early teenage girl, I guess, or the tweens, but 11, 12, 13. Is that about how old you were? I mean, that's a tender time at
12 to 15.
12 to
Yeah.
15. That's a tender
Yeah.
time at the best of times for anybody. But to be going through such such an experience that you've just laid out, I can understand better now the formation and the motivation and the commitment to the work that you do to uplift and bring people together. Thank you for sharing. That was really important, Laura. So let's move on a little bit to goodness, because I think it's a natural kind of bridge into the work that you've done at Greenheart and to the work that you do at Purpose Earth in particular. Now let me ask you this. It's a challenging time in the world, as we all are well aware. So, what inspires your faith in human goodness amidst such global challenges? And a double barrel question, Laura, if I may. How can we better support and uplift those who are quietly doing good in their communities? And I know this is an area of passion for you at Purpose Earth. So, how do you maintain your faith in human goodness? What inspires your faith in human goodness? And how can we better support and uplift those who are quietly doing good in their communities?
Mm. Oh, I love that, Ben. There is so much goodness and so much beauty that exists in everyday life and surrounding us all the time. And what I have had the extraordinary privilege to see in the work that I do is how just the slightest drop of impetus, of opportunity, can trigger this ripple effect of a, almost a tsunami of good that comes from from providing opportunities. And it's not even, providing opportunities makes it sound like there's some kind of, charitable work being done. And I don't think of it that way at all, Ben. I think of it much more as there are so many resourceful, creative, and brilliant people being faced with unbelievable challenges all over the globe. We see this with purpose all the time. All of the beautifully crafted applications that we receive that are all essentially the same in that they're saying, we have an issue, we have a problem in this country that we're addressing or would like to address. And all we need is a little bit of belief, support in what we're doing and what we believe that can be done. I'll give you the example of there's this beautiful project that we just funded this year, and it's one of my favorites. It's called the Chigubu Zimbabwean Lamp Project. And it is a project dedicated to bringing light to children who live in rural Zimbabwe, who after dark, they have no electricity in these rural areas. And after dark, they're unable to study. They're unable to do anything. It's you have to go to bed. There really isn't anything else to be done. And yet, one of the projects that we're funding right now is this beautiful man named Alawan. And he is this incredible electrical engineer who lives in Zimbabwe and who had the brilliant idea to take discarded materials, LED light bulbs and lithium batteries, and combine all of these ingredients and using discarded plastic bottles, which litter everything everywhere on our planet these days, and to use the plastic bottles as stands to then create a type of a light that is operated by solar. And those lights are not only made available to these children, 1,000 children are being supported by the grant that we gave, that we helped to fund, but they're also learning how to make these lights. And they're also in the process cleaning up their communities by utilizing all of these discarded items and truly recycling them for good. So the beauty that exists, and I mean, that's one of a multitude of examples that I could give you, but there is so much beauty in just seeing and recognizing that when, there's so often this attitude and this viewpoint that, oh, I have to give money to somebody else to, um, it's all charity and it's just giving money for out of my own pocket. But what they're giving is light. What they're giving is an opportunity to see all of us rise up together in the most extraordinary ways. And I see it on the streets every day with people that I meet eyes with, and a smile will spread across somebody's face that is just the essence of a beautiful soul inside. So that's a very, very quick thumbnail sketch of a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, Laura, and I think the way that you've described it is really important. It's not a handout, and it's not just a hand up. It's a partnership, and I think what you said earlier was, people can't lift themselves up by their bootstraps if they don't have any bootstraps, and the other thing I think that you just shared, which is so important, is, the grant might be a few $1,000s, but it's the relationship, the mentorship, and the key thing is the belief that people feel supported and believed in, and to have someone or a group see them, believe in them, support them, is worth so much more than $5,000, $10,000. Its value is immeasurable, and those impacts. I love Purpose Earth and the work that's been done. The grant selection committee is so diligent of going through those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications, and we want to see Purpose Earth continue to flourish. There's been support coming in, but I think it's probably fair to say that the vast majority of the funding still comes from yourself and Emmanuel, and we want to see that developing into something which is truly, self-supporting and flourishing, because the impact is huge. And you're talking about orders of magnitude of transformation by empowering people on the ground. They've already got the calling, they've already got the commitment. Mostly they've already got their plans and their strategies in place. They just need that little bit of support, that mentorship, and that belief, and that global partnership that Purpose Earth offers. It is one of the most beautiful projects I've ever seen.
No, thank you, Ben. That's well, you were there at the very beginning, and it was a collaboration between Unity Earth and Global Purpose Earth movement that started all of this, and it's thank you for those words. And you're right, it is about collaboration. It is about this partnership between the grant recipients and the members of Purpose Earth and the mentors who are just extraordinary. And many of them are our council members. And the beautiful thing is that it is changing. Yes, Emmanuel and I have supported a great deal of it, but it is starting to change. And this year, for the first year, virtually all of the grants themselves were supported by the generosity of our donors. The the infrastructure, that's still another story. We're still supporting that and very happy and honored to do so. And but as long as we're able, but of course, it's very important that we start to be able to really have it grow in such a way that it isn't entirely dependent upon us. So, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
beautiful. Well, it's good to see it growing. That is good and beautiful. So thank you, Laura. This is very rich. Let's talk a little bit about truth, and then I have a question about the Hollow Movement. So
Mm.
I know, Laura, you as a deeply spiritual being, And I think many people who know you would say the same in your own way. You're contemplative and thoughtful, and you connect with a plurality of traditions in deep and meaningful ways. So how was your ideas of truth, the big truth, the whole emerging truth? How has that evolved for you over your journey in the sense of your own spirituality or your own belief and relationship to the whole and to life in general?
Mm. Yeah. I love your questions, Ben. So it's been a life of evolution and understanding. I think my first understanding was as quite a small child in the garden of my parents. And I will never forget um, being surrounded by flowers and birds and butterflies, and suddenly having this download that there was another dimension and that it was actually more real than what I was living in, and that if only I could lift the veil. I had this image or this thought that there was like a very thin veil separating me from the true reality, the truth of our existence, and that existence was so deep and so pure and so beautiful, and that I, it, I felt like I could touch it, but it remained intangible. So over the years, those kind of thoughts kept coming back to me. I had many prophetic dreams. Um, I had many very important telling dreams. The most important dream, which I'll just share briefly, was one that I've shared a couple of different settings, but um, I think it was maybe the most profound dream that I've ever had and led to so much of what I do now. And it was that I was living in a beautiful cottage and I was surrounded by a forest and beautiful vegetation. There was absolute peace and I was incredibly content. Um, and there came a knock on the door, a very loud and resounding boom, boom. And I went trembling to the door, knowing that I had to open it. And when I did, there was a spirit being there. And the spirit said, "Come with me." And I got behind it and sort of embraced it, although it really didn't have a look, but I could feel my arms around this spirit being. And we lifted off the ground as though we were on a magic carpet. And I could see everything becoming smaller and smaller, and the house becoming smaller and smaller. And then we flew over beautiful forests and magnificent landscapes, and then the scenery changed. And I later learned, because I think I was about 12 when I had this dream, but I later learned that what I was seeing below me was probably Auschwitz, World War II. And I began to cry. And the spirit being said to me, "You will have a choice in life. You will be able to choose whether you stay in your beautiful cottage or if you choose to make a difference." And I remember waking up that morning and thinking, that is a really profound truth, but I have no idea what to do with it at 12,
12-year-old
except that
girl.
I made a promise to myself that I must remember it forever and that I would never forget that dream.
Mm.
So I'm mentioning some of these childhood experiences because
Mm.
I think that there are profound truths that we are shown very early on in our lives, and that it part of our growing up, learning how to integrate these moments of understanding and how to later tap into those memories in such a way that it presents the opportunity for us to make the choice. Make the choice not to. Our kids ask us all the time now, why don't you guys just golf? Why are you dealing with all this holo movement and purpose earth and all of these things? And I think it's because there is a choice, there is a choice that we all make
Mhm.
about what we want to do with our lives and how we want to spend it. And what I love being surrounded by with Unity Earth and all of these beautiful organizations that we're associated with is the truth of our being in a community where we have made the decision that our personal satisfaction only comes when we recognize that we can be a part of something bigger to lead to a more beautiful and gorgeous planet for us all.
Oh, Laura, thank you for sharing. That is just superb and sublime experience. And clearly, there was a very significant tap on your shoulder, which appeared as a loud boom at the door, but Spirit really saying, here is your option. And you have demonstrated your choice through your life, and you are continuing to demonstrate that choice, as we all are. But what would you say to that woman or man who is in their beautiful garden, living their, wonderful kind of material existence, who hasn't yet made that choice, and still has the ability to make that choice? What would be your message to them?
Hmm. Well, I think it's a conversation. It's a conversation that is exploratory, that really assesses just is the beautiful life that we're living in this gorgeous garden or this beautiful house or on the edge of this gorgeous golf course or wherever these people are living, where, on the surface it looks really pretty, right? Everything looks just perfect. The cars and the garage and yeah,
Ski
the
holidays.
neighboring houses and the trips being planned and this and that. And yet, what I hear again and again from so many people that I knew from childhood and have stayed in touch with in various capacities over the years is an absence of fulfillment, an absence of true um, belief or feeling that the life that's being lived has any true meaning and depth, and that several people, I'll just say this, Ben, several people recently have come that I've known over the years have
Right.
decided to join us, for example, at the Wave, that
Yes.
said, hmm, I think I'd like to try what they're having, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
And what it was been so beautiful is these are people that kind of kept one foot out and just sort of, stood on the sidelines and kind of scratched their heads and said, I really don't know what they're doing over there. I'm not sure what Laura and Emmanuel are up to, but it's a little odd. And, I don't think we want to talk about it in general circles, but little by little, I think it's not about preaching. It's not
Mm.
about proselytizing. It's not about, everybody has to come to their realization in their own moment.
Right. Right.
You know this better than anybody, Ben. But what I do find is that there is a sense of joy that one experiences, a sense of bliss,
Yeah.
maybe is better put, when one is living their true calling,
Yeah.
when one recognizes that if there is so much more to life than just, making sure that you try a Michelin starred restaurant or, visit the latest hip destination where everybody's doing it, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Because the most satisfying and the most beautiful experiences I've had are when I've been working shoulder to shoulder
Mm.
with people say, who are volunteering. It's something we do at Greenheart. I'll just mention Greenheart, for example. We So of the close to 200,000 young people that we've worked with, we made it mandatory. It sounds a bit ironic, but we made it mandatory that everybody had to try volunteering,
Huh?
right? So we said, you don't have to do it many times, just one time for 3 hours. If you don't like it, that's fine.
Right.
So So I'll give you the example of a young woman. She was from Kyrgyzstan, and she won the Green Heart Junior Council Award
Mhm.
for having volunteered, which
Mhm.
means she volunteered more than 100 hours. And we brought her to Chicago with a bunch of other young people, and she got up on stage and she gave this adorable talk. And she said, when they told me, she put her hands on her hips and she said, when they told me that I had to volunteer, I said, I'm not working for free, and you might as well forget that. And she said, and here I am. I've lost track of all the hours I've volunteered. And I never felt more fulfilled, that life is more meaningful, or understood that I could be so happy by helping other people.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that is something that she's one of thousands of young people that I've met over the years who has experienced what it's like to understand that fulfillment really comes when you're not worrying about your own needs and wants, but when you're fulfilling the needs and true
Yes,
wants of people who are less fortunate than ourselves.
yes, 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 yes. Oh, thank you, Laura. This again, so rich. The true joy of living into purpose. Really, maybe that's the title of this discussion. Now, let's talk about the Hollow Movement because we've spoken to Emmanuel and we've had the opportunity to understand his, vision and motivation and driving force for the Hollow Movement. But what about yours? And in that, what's coming up next? What should we be excited about? We know the next wave is coming to Portugal. We want to hear about it. Tell us all about your and I think you've laid out a lot of it during the last, 30, 40 minutes, Laura, but just to speak specifically into the Hollow Movement, your, stewardship of it and what's coming next for the Hollow Movement.
Uh, oh, I love this question. Well, I guess, Emmanuel is very good at talking about the Bohemian concept behind all of this, the implicate and the explicate, and the Holo movement is the connection between the two. It's like the infinity wave that goes between what we see, the reality around us, and then this beautiful implicate order that is, as Will Keepin says, the implicate is the sea, and the explicate is the foam on the sea. It's all that we really see. And yet the combination of the two, when they flow in and out, is so exquisite and so beautiful. And my when somebody asks me, what is the Holo movement really to you? Well, of course it's that, but that's a difficult thing to explain to, any Joe on the street, right? So, what for me, I think the thing that's most important and that I really focus on is that there is a tragic, absolute tragic situation happening on the globe right now with loneliness, with lack of meaning, with I read not long ago that more than 60% of Americans under 30 are desperately lonely and find lack of meaning in their lives. That to me is an absolute tragedy. And that it's, even if you take the whole population, it's over 30% of all adults are desperately lonely and lacking meaning in their lives. And so the thing that motivates me about the Holo movement is that this is an opportunity for all of us to be part of something that creates an opening, a door opening for meaning to a lot of people are leaving the church these days, but they're religious. They're not religious, but they're spiritual, right? They're
Hmm.
people who really they know there's something much more than just their cell phones and the frozen pizza and the freezer and that there's so much more than that. And what I think we can offer, sorry, I'm getting pop-ups on my screen here. I think what what the Holo movement is really focused on is to facilitate opportunities to find deep meaning and community, and that so much of that is in person, which is one of the reasons we've really emphasized the wave, right? Which, as you mentioned, is going to be in Portugal and will be amazing. But there are lots of other communities that we're creating, and we're creating this ripple effect of community, which is growing exponentially now.
Mhm.
And we've identified so many people who have approached us and said, I want to be a part of this. I was at the wave. I want to start regional events. I want to start regional tides, I think is what we're going to call them, that we're working on now. Could be ripples, but we also have the monthly ripple
Mhm.
that Yasmin is doing. So we have these communities that are forming, and then we have the holons that are forming. And these are really, we got off to a little bit of a rocky start with the right platform and the right, it takes a few starts.
Sure.
Every pilot program I think I've ever been involved in, it takes 2, 3, 4 years to really get to take off. But
Mm.
what I'm seeing now is the formation after the wave in Asheville is the formation of significant holons that are taking on and creating beautiful
Mm.
projects.
Mhm.
So this is an area that we're really growing. We also are very, very key. We're in the process of releasing several beautiful online programs
Mhm.
that involve community building and will also involve an opportunity to practice meditation, to practice song, to practice dance, to practice all kinds of things that are going to be weaving in more deep meaning, but
Mhm.
also taking that out into the world. So stay tuned. We've got a
Mhm.
lot coming up. And in the next, I would say 3, 4 weeks, we're going to be releasing several new exciting opportunities to be part of this community.
Mm, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Amazing. I was fortunate enough, blessed to be in Sedona at the Holomovement Wave, the original one, and then in Ibiza. Was that
Mm.
just last year? Oh my goodness, it was just last year, but so much has happened since then. But incredible, uplifting, profound, joyful, and brilliant community coming together. Just magnificent. So thank you for sharing that. I know what happened in Asheville was just extraordinary. We keep hearing amazing reports about the wonderful organization and the music and the content and the speakers and everything that happened there, and to also bless the community of Asheville, who had suffered, through the natural disaster that had happened there, and getting ready to go to back to Europe and Portugal in 2026. We will stay tuned, and that's very, very exciting. Well, just in closing, Laura, you really are a true weaver of beauty and goodness and servant of truth. And just really thank you. Thank you for being such a bright light that you and Emmanuel, truly in your devotion and love for humanity to bless and uplift, to support, to nurture, to connect. May there be more Laura and Emmanuel's rising up to continue this great work, so necessary, so needed, and you do it with such joy too, Laura. And I know you, when we talk about that choice to get out of the comfortable garden and the house and go and be into the world, it doesn't mean it's all, kind of heavy and dark. You do it with such light and such joy and such community and with a light touch as well. So I just really want to acknowledge you and honor you and thank you for this opportunity to sit down. As part of the 99 Days of Peace Through Unity, we're on a journey from World Unity Week to the major events in September. And to have your voice and your heart in here is very precious. So deep, deep gratitude to you.
And to you, Ben, thank you for all the light you shine on the planet. It's lovely to connect all of our dots.